All right, so hurricanes coming. They usually come at night. One thing about a hurricane, 99.9% of the time you get a hurricane, the power goes out. And once the power goes out, chances are pretty good it's going to be out for a while. Hurricane Andrew, back in the 90s, we were without power for about 2.5 weeks. After the hurricane passes, the weather is absolutely beautiful. It'll be crystal clear blue skies and sunshine, and it'll be about 300% humidity because everything is saturated, everything is broken. I remember hearing the report on the news that the power company, I think it was Demco at the time, I don't remember if it was Demco, I think it was Demco at the time, had 10,000 broken poles. Uh, anyhow, the humidity is unbearable, the heat is unbearable. You've got a tremendous mess to clean up. The yard is a mess. You've got to do inventory on what on the house got damaged. And you still got to go to work, you know. You still got to get up and go to work and see who can make it in. And it's not an excuse to stay home for a week. It's actually very uncomfortable after a hurricane passes. Now, if you get lucky, you're only missing power for a day or two, but it's pretty uncomfortable. So, you know, the air conditioner's not running. It's super humid. You know, the low at night gets down into the mid 80s at night for the low, mid 80s. It's very, very uncomfortable. You know, no fan, no nothing. Now, of course, a lot of people come up with a solution to that is, well, you go get yourself one of them generators. It sits out there in your yard, hooked up natural gas. Pause this for a second, clear my throat. I much prefer to do that off camera. Get a little hit of my Go Tigers cup. Okay. You get yourself one of them generators. That's hooked up to natural gas. Natural gas is under the ground, doesn't get affected by the hurricane. Electricity goes out. The generator turns on by itself. Bingo. Everything in life is perfectly happy, right? Well, there's a problem with that. For the last, I don't remember the name of the last big hurricane we had. It was a couple of years ago, a few years ago. I don't remember now. There's a town south of here. It got hit pretty hard. And everybody knows, or down around there, everybody knows hurricanes hit hard. So you get tired of being, you know, losing power during a hurricane. So what you do is you get one of them generators, and lo and behold, everybody in that town, just about everybody in that town probably got one, or a lot of people in that town. I ain't gonna say which town it was, got one. Spent a bunch of money, you know. Depending on what you get, you're going to spend between 10 and 20,000. I would guess between 10 and 20,000. And the hurricane came, and the power went out, and the machine switched on, and they all turned on at the same time, and the gas company's line lost pressure because so many people were running their generators that none of the generators would work. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'd spent that kind of money ensuring my family would have power during a hurricane, and then when a hurricane comes, you don't have it, I'd be upset. I have no idea what they did or what they plan to do or whatever to fix that, but the supplier could not keep up with the demand. They couldn't move enough gas through the lines to satisfy the draw. That was ugly. I don't know whatever became of it, but it was ugly. You know, when you go to different parts of the country, one of the things that I've noticed over my lifetime is that when you go to different parts of the country, different people's names that may be very uncommon somewhere else or unheard of somewhere else are very common in smaller areas. Like if you go to Milwaukee, the brewing capital of the world, probably, you're probably going to come across a whole bunch of German last names because the reason it's the brewing capital of the world is because the Germans moved there. And if you go to Pennsylvania, you're probably going to run into a bunch of people with Dutch heritage. If you come down here to Louisiana, you're going to run into a bunch of people with French heritage. I don't know if you're familiar with the story of the Acadians, run out of Canada. They were from France. And they got run out of Canada, and they got run clean down to from Canada down to the bayous of Louisiana, and that's where they settled. And there's a lot of French last names around here. Now, I had never seen when I came here. I had never seen all these French names. I had no idea what all these French names are about. Now, there's one thing that's very interesting about all these French names, and that is that some of them, even though they're pronounced the same, like the name Bro, which is spelled on the east side of the river, B-R-A-U-D, and on the west side of the river, B-R-E-A-U-X, or the name Thibodeau, which is all pronounced Thibodeau. Some of the names Thibodeau have an X on the end, some don't. A lot of the French names, if it ends with O, E-A-U, Gautreau, Thibodeau, Boudreau, if it's like that, some have an X on the end and some don't. Now, I was very curious. Being a very curious person, I was very curious about that, and I've been told several different things. The one that I believe is the truth is that a lot of the people who came here they were all French people, but a lot of the people that came here that were run out of Canada and came here from Canada didn't speak, read or write English, and so if they had to sign some legal documents, they're going to buy a house, something like that, buy some land, whatever they might have to sign their name. What would happen is someone else would sign their name, and then because they didn't read or write, they would just put an X after the name, signifying their signature. That's what I've always been told. I've been told a lot, but I think that's the one that I believe. That one makes the most sense to me. But there's a whole bunch of odd names here. But there's a whole bunch of odd names no matter where you go. I mean, little pockets around the United States of people that are from different places. If you go down to New Orleans, the accents in New Orleans are very specific, really very specific to what part of town they're from. I mean, you could listen to somebody talk and know if they're a Chalmatian. You could listen to somebody talk and know if they're from Kenner or Metairie. It's really interesting because it's such a small place, but the accent, some of those accents, especially the Chalmatians, if you're from New Orleans East, you can tell. But there's so much difference in the accent, and they live close to each other, so that's kind of interesting. I gotta. All right, I'm going to tell you this story. I'm going to tell you that it involves a word that just take the word for the value of the story. Okay. So remember the picture of me playing cards at Jody's house? I was service manager at the Honda shop. And this guy came in and he brings in his three-wheeler. And he comes back later to pick it up or to see about it. And so I'm going to go talk to the guy, tell him what's wrong. I had never met the guy before. Somebody else had written the ticket. I had a secretary. She would write up the service tickets once in a while, and I'd never seen him. So she called me in the office and handed me the paperwork, the hard copy. And she said, he's right there. He needs to talk to him about his work. So, okay. So I pick up the hard copy and I look at it. And I said, Mr. Lapines? And he got mad. And he said, it's Lapine. It's Lapine. Well, let me tell you something. Hang on. I'd like to choke myself. He was adamant it was Lapine, but it was spelled L-A, capital L, little a, capital P-E-N-I-S. Now write that down on a piece of paper. Capital L, little a, capital P-E-N-I-S. Now read that. What does it say? It doesn't say Lapine, does it? Anyway, I was quite surprised and embarrassed about that. And obviously he'd heard it before because he knew how to respond. They call people down here Cajuns because Cajun, if you say the word Acadian real fast, over and over and over and over, eventually you will condense it down to a shorter version of Cajun. Cajun is just a shorter version of the word Acadian. They also call themselves coonasses. I'm not 100% sure where the word coonass came from. When I first came here and heard somebody referring to themselves as a coonass, I told them to be quiet because somebody might hear what they were saying. Coonasses, although I haven't had a conversation with a hardcore coonie in a long time, but they were always very, very proud of their heritage. Very proud of their heritage. I met a lot of people who lived off the land and knew how to handle it. They knew how to handle a boat and a pickup truck better than they knew how to handle anything else, and a rifle. Good, hard-working, honest people who seem to drink a lot, but fun, knowledgeable, and I've got to break this up again. Let me get my remote. Doesn't work too well.